Hi, Jada. Hi,
Hello.
Harry. Hi, Jada.
Got music playing somewhere.
Oh, why did you stop the music?
Could you hear that? Yeah. Really? That's so funny.
Why?
Because it's just like coming through my earphones. So that
That's
means
cool. Leave it on. Leave it on. We were just talking about having music, remember?
okay.
Did you tell Jada that she has to do a dance? Every Zoom technician has to do a dance before we start. Jada, that's a surprise for you.
Jada's all dolled up.
I'm highly stressed. I haven't even gone to the bathroom yet. Oh my god! I just got back down. No. Okay, so I've made everyone co-host.
Okay.
There's other people in the waiting room, but I'm not admitting them yet.
Okay. Go to the restroom. Go.
Can I?
Yeah. We'll take care of it for you.
Okay. So gotcha.
Oh, this is so funny. I've never seen someone so fuzzy.
But it's funny, to be honest. It's more stress than I thought online because there's so many things, screens and boxes, seriously. And I need to have a second PC or iPad ready here too. Otherwise, with one screen, it's really hard.
Really? I can't imagine how you're looking at all these screens. Like,
yeah, but when you do full slide view, then you can't see anything. That's the problem. So I don't see. So nevertheless, all good.
Funny.
It's recording already.
Let's pause that.
Yeah,
exactly. We don't want that part.
We don't want ourselves dancing, and you probably caught us dancing too.
We leave the dancing for later. You both know it is Anne's birthday today.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So later in the debrief, we're going to join a little bit earlier and we sing a birthday song, just as a heads up.
Nice.
Okay. Harry, what happened to the music?
Well, because John was talking, so
okay.
Do we want that music?
Nice.
See, how is that really loud to you?
No, it's just nice.
No.
It's very nice. It's very.
Oh, is it really? Because in my ears, it's really loud.
Oh
no. Maybe it's our volume.
Yeah. No, it's just nice for us. We actually like it.
Okay, let's rock and roll.
Jada has makeup on. Like
no, actually it's not. It's because I had chili noodle. So my hair was like. Should I let people in already?
I'm letting Eileen in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Participants 2 minutes before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will get the slide ready because following the instruction here.
Hello, everyone. You know something? I was just thinking by next Monday we'll all be feeling like, how come we got no more calls? I'm sure we will all miss all this excitement and all this togetherness.
Eileen, we can continue.
Of course.
We create an extra package.
Definitely. I'll be checking you guys out and like SOS advice needed. But we had quite a lot of new registrants. I mean, it's all coming mainly quite number coming through Eventbrite. Yeah. So Adrian is busy sending out the emails. Initially, we thought of doing at the end of the day, but no, I think we just have to keep doing after every session.
Yeah. Every few minutes, I have to do it again. It's like, well, there's no end to doing this. I'm like, again, another one.
Now you can see my label, right? 5A, 5B, 5C.
Yeah.
Oh, I realized it has already started recording.
No, we paused it.
Jacqueline worked at MindDef, SAF, MOE, MSF, mainstream and special needs schools, and VWOs. She also conducts mindfulness talks, workshops in schools for corporates and institutions. Jacqueline, the stage is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, John. Good evening to all. Please join me in this mindfulness practice. So in your sitting position, what we're going to do is that we're going to do some hip rotation. Now, not rigorous. So every one of you are very different. Please take care of your body. If whatever guidance that I'm giving doesn't resonate with your body, please just do your own variation. So in mindfulness, when we do mindful movement, it's never about perfection. It's about knowing your body. So sitting upright, you can cross your leg or you can have your feet on the floor. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to first, your attention is on your hip, okay, and your sit bone. We're going to do a rotation, a clockwise rotation, slowly and gently. Okay, so I'm not wanting everyone to do this or very large movement. It's just small. So can we do maybe a 6 round? So starting from a clockwise, so using your pelvis as an anchor point, and you just gently move. So you're not moving your upper body. Your upper body move because your pelvis is moving. So do it gentle. And if you experience any pain, please stop and make it a smaller circle. Okay? So slowly do a 6 clockwise movement. And at the same time, whether you notice anything that is in your body. Now, when you're done, okay, you're going to do your own time, own target. Do an anti-clockwise using your pelvis and breathe. Remember to breathe, okay? So it's human tendency for us to hold our breath when doing this. So when you're done, you come into the central and stationary position, and I know that you are done. Okay, so take your time. There's really nothing to rush here. And remember to breathe when you stop. Okay, wonderful. I'm checking out, making sure everyone is done. Just 6 rounds, your own time. Now, what I would like you to do is same area, your pelvis, as the anchor point, just like a pencil. I would like you to draw an infinity sign. So an infinity sign is like a numeric 8 lying down. So we can call it lazy 8 as well. So you start from your center and you do a top right circle and you draw an infinity sign. And just be careful. Just be careful. Do not overexert. If you feel any slightest pain, I do not want you to use your willpower. Okay, I want you to make it smaller, or you can pause. So do maybe a 6 infinity sign and notice how's your body doing. Okay, so this is not about perfection. It's not about competition. As small infinity sign as you can. If your body allows, you can have a bigger, larger infinity sign. Wonderful. Good job. So when you're done, you just pause back to your stationary position. Now we're going to do the other side. Okay, so we first started off with top left corner. Now we're going to do the other side. So we draw in your center. This is your center area. Draw another infinity sign, 6 infinity sign. And just notice what's your body right now. Are you holding your breath? Are you using your upper body to help your pelvis to do the movement? Attention is on your pelvis. So we're going to do this mindfully. Wonderful. And when you're done, and you just paused and close your eyes or lower your gaze, we're going to enter a 5 minutes breathing space. Now, number 1, checking into your body. You just finished that mindful movement. And we're not changing a single thing. So the first one is just scan what's your body right now after the activities, the exercise. Is your body full of sensation? Is your breathing very rapid? Or you're still holding your breath? It's really about noticing. So we are not changing any single thing. So take your time to tune and check your body right now. You may feel your palpitation. Heart racing. You may not feel anything at all, and that's fine. So we are not changing your breath. We're not doing anything. We're just sitting here, tuning in and notice what's your body condition, what's your inner weather right now. And that's now it's like towards the end of the day. You have a long day. So what's your body right now? If your minds wander, just bring it back to noticing your body. Now, step number 2 of the breathing space is that I'll allow you to bring your attention to where your breath is. The natural breathing, the rising and falling, and each one of us will be different. Some of you may feel the breathing near your nostril. Some may be throat, chest area, or abdominal area. Wherever it is, that's for you. So just bring your attention to where your breath right now and noticing the rising and falling of your breath. So we are using breath right now to do the anchor. Wonderful. Just continue. We're going to stay here for a couple of minutes. If your attention is no longer on your breath, just try to bring your attention back again each time when your minds wander. This is practice. We're training our brain. Now, if you're doing something, that's fine. But see whether you can do, and at the same time, being aware of your breath. We're noticing the natural of your breath, and every one of us is different. Minds wander. When you have such brilliant and wonderful ideas that pop out in the midst of this practice, just hold it there for a while. Just at this moment, just this moment, your priority and your attention is to this breath. Wonderful. The part of the breathing space is to expand your breathing to your whole body breathing. Now, what does that mean? So we are not using our cognitive brain to understand this. It's really about feeling your whole body sitting down and breathe. And just noticing your body as you're breathing, what happened to your body. Wonderful. We'll just stay here for about another minute. Coming to still. If your mind is all over the place, do not try to tame it. Just bring the attention to your breath. When you're ready, take 1 or 2 or 3 deep breaths. 1 or 2 or 3 deep breaths. Slowly open up your eyes. The next activities I will guide you is that I will need an object. Okay? So we're going to have the object of Either one, the hand, your left hand, your right hand, whichever that is comfortable for you. So we're going to do both hands. The first hand, I'm going to guide you through a very detailed processing. So the second hand, you're going to do it on your own. All right. So may my voice be your guide. So choose any hand you do. For me, I choose my right hand. You can choose your left hand. So just take note, if you have any arm injury, okay, or wrist injury, because we're going to hold this hand for maybe 5 minutes. So if you can, you just relax your arm, you relax your shoulder, but it's just using one hand. So maybe we can start off with the palm of the hand that you have chosen. Okay, so just look at the palm, and just for the first time, see whether you can invite your curiosity. Being curious what's your palms look like. Your palms has been with you since the day you were born, most of us. And just look at the palm and being curious. And see whether you notice anything. And just take your time, maybe the lines, the wrinkles, if there is. Okay. If you study palmistry, you may be able to find more meaning to it, but I don't know anything about that. So I'm just looking at my palm in details using a curious mind. So you can move your palm closer to you and see whether you notice any difference or away from you. So while you're doing that, I'm introducing 3 antenna channels for you. The first antenna, while you're observing your palm, noticing what's in your palm, antenna 1 is really about the observational skill. What you say. Oh, I didn't know I have this line. Oh, I almost forgotten I have a scar. Oh no, I didn't realize that my thumb is so big. I really don't like my thumb. So short, so tall, so skinny, so fat, whatever it is. So number 1, antenna 1 is really about noticing skill. Now, antenna 2, as you're doing your observation, I would like you to check your body. How is the relationship of you observing your palm that affecting your body? Are you holding your breath? Are your body having a lot of sensation? Are you holding your arms too heavily? So relax your shoulder, then your hands becomes heavy. Just relax it. So that's antenna 2, noticing your breath, noticing your body. Now antenna 3 is really about looking inside. Okay, so you can do this at the same time as I'm guiding you. So looking into inside, see whether any thoughts that came out, like just now I say, I don't like my fingers, too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny, too bony, too fleshy, whatever it is, okay? So it's just about 3 antennas will run at the same time. So this is really multitasking, huh? So just take note. Now, if you're done with your palm, you can flip your palm over and you just look at the top of the hand, the back of your hand, and just started to look maybe your nails, the vein, knuckles, maybe some hair, hand hair, and just notice it. So if your hand is getting tired, you can use the other hand to support it. So at the same time, invite the beginner's mind and a sense of curiosity. What's your antenna 2 right now doing? Are you in touch with antenna 2 and antenna 3? Now, while you're still doing this observation, I would like you to bring yourself back to a very young age, when you were 4 months old. Now, a 4-month-old baby, okay, start to discover this. may or may not have a word to it, but start to understand any movement is part of the body. So now you are 4 months old. A baby just discovered this thing. And when I move my fingers, this thing, it moves. I have certain control over that. Just play around with this one, whatever it calls. I have no idea what is it called now when you were 4 months old. Now bring back to you when you were 2 months old. A 2-month-old baby has no idea that this is part of your body. It's just like beginner's mind. Oh, what is this thing doing? So start to observe and notice. When your thoughts about words, concepts that are arising from this observation, my finger, my nails, my skin, drop that concept, drop it, and just notice as it is. Just notice your breathing right now. Now I would like you to observe, engage your 3 antennae, but at the same time, starting when you were 2 months old. So we're not doing all the way from the beginning. So now you are a 2 months old baby looking at the other side, the other hand, the palm and the back of the hand, and start observing right now. So I'm going to give you a stretch of a couple of minutes. You do it on your own. Just being curious. You have no idea what is that thing called. The things that you see, you only see things that it is. How's your body doing as you're doing this observation? Are there any inner thoughts or emotion? Can you just drop that concept? Now just put your both hands, palm on your knees or your thigh, and just close your eyes for a moment and tune into your antenna too. That's your body and your breath sensation. Notice anything. And your minds may be rattling, just hold that. Just allow it to do and being right now at this moment. Your breath. If our minds is still very busy, just bring your attention to your 2 sit bone sitting on the chair, the feet on the floor. Noticing the rising and falling of your breath. Now in mindfulness, beginner's mind is very important because every breath is different. Every movement is different. You are different. So inviting the sense of curiosity in the investigating in our inner self. Going back to your breath or your body as the anchor point right now. Suzuki said, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. We are all expert in our own specialization. A truly expert is the one that embrace and embody a beginner's mind. We have come to the end of this practice. Take 1 or 2 or 3 deep breaths. 1 or 2 or 3 deep breaths. When you're ready, slowly open up your eyes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So we have another 8 minutes until we start. So if you want to fill up your water or get something to drink, it's time now. We will wait for the rest of the participants to join. So I'm not sure how you feel about today so far. For those of you who had the opportunity to join us this morning or short after lunch, I am very personally impressed and already walk away with a lot. The morning session with JFC, and I know JFC is with us tonight. He started the morning, he's ending the day with us. Welcome back. But he had a session together with Alvin, Rich, and Matthew about internal coaching cultures, which was truly impressive. And then over lunchtime, well, we went deep on our brain, and I personally took a lot away from that session with Dr. Colleen. Very thankful all of that, and it's maybe a good opportunity just to reflect on that before we go into the main session. Also, a little bit of housekeeping up front. If all of you could keep your microphone muted, we will unmute you automatically when we start the session, but just pay attention if possible to the mute button to make this a great experience for everybody. And we will start on time 6:30, and we will wrap up Tony's session around 8 p.m. and then go into short action learning breakouts. It's important to have this networking because we are not physical together. And I remember from last year when I attended the ICW, there was a lot of networking in the breaks and in the evenings. We don't have that, but now we have these sessions and they have been very powerful so far. So I hope I will see a lot of you in the breakouts so you can reflect on Tony's presentation and what we overall took away from today. So we already have around 100 participants logged in. A few minutes more to go. And I hope you all signed up for tomorrow's session. We have 3 exciting sessions coming up around eliminating stress and cultivate extreme resilience. We will talk about agents of change and consciousness, and also what does latest ICF core competence change and mean for us on the different levels we are as coaches, as ACC, PCC, or MCC. So a lot of exciting content tomorrow. And also quite often we get the question around CCEUs and how it works. So at the end, we will share with you a link and a QR code to claim it. I will explain the details. So nothing to worry about. All it requires is to stay on until the end, and it's really worth it. It's really worth it. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's event. It's Tuesday, the second day of our ICW Singapore 2020 event. My name is John Nelson. I'm your host tonight. And to make tonight's session as smooth and easy as possible for everybody, please help me to mute your microphones. It is a huge pleasure for me to have Tony Latimer in a few minutes joining us to discuss and talk about the subconscious connection, listening with an empty mind. And I think the session we just had with Jacqueline helped us to get a little bit closer to that empty space. So again, thank you, Jacqueline, for that. But before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping. So you will automatically be muted, and please help us to stay muted, except we open up the space for questions from the audience. Also, you will have the Q&A session and the chat box at the bottom. At any time, you can just type in your questions or thoughts. We love your feedback and we love questions, and I will do my very best with the team to catch as many of the questions and then have them discuss with Tony throughout our session. Also, there will be a code and a link later for you to get your CCEUs. So let me just explain to you how that works. So first of all, there's a few things we have to pay attention to, all of us. So first of all, the full live attendance throughout the whole seminar is required. So if we would watch this as a recording, we cannot claim CCEUs. So please stay until the end. Also, if you are only in for half of the time, we cannot do any partial CCEUs. Also, at the end, it's a very simple form. Fill in the name and your correct email address, and then we will be able to send you your certificates by early June. And this form is live 24 hours after each webinar. Should you have any troubles or questions, just let us know in the chat. I will have a QR code for you and a link at the end of this session. Also, after the session, we will have 15 minutes networking, and I would be very happy to see many of you in the breakout rooms to share feedback and thoughts after Tony's presentation and what we have all learned today. So let me take a short moment to thank our amazing sponsors this year. So we have as a platinum sponsor, Emergenetics. Emergenetics help people and organizations to improve communication, collaboration, and culture, resulting in positive and productive workplaces. And the really exciting news is that there's a special gift for all of us attending the ICW 2020. After this week, so basically next week, you will receive an email where you can sign up and you will get a gift, a package worth $350. You will get your own Emergenetics profile report. You will get access to tools and a portal with more information. Plus, you will be invited to a special webinar focused on coaching. I am absolutely thrilled about this. So don't miss that email next week when you can sign up for that. So thank you again to Emergenetics for that. Also, we have 3 silver sponsors, and I want to thank the coach partnership for bringing, first of all, Newfield's suite of coaching trainings to Asia. They are doing this since 2010, and they are in the business since 1991. More than 65,000 of coaches have been through their training and get certified. And it is absolutely a school and a organization standing for the golden standard we have in ICS. Also, a big thank you to Starting Point, who is an authorized provider of everything DISC certification and solution, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team and building trust solution. Also, Starting Point are specialized in customized workshops and coaching for leadership and organizational improvements and transformation. Last but not least, the coaching app. This is your executive coach in your pocket. Everything you need in terms of knowledge, guidance, and tools you have available. And if you go to www.thecoachingapp.com, you can register and download and get your own version and make sure you are taking care of your own personal development and bring it to reality. But I'm sure we're going to hear more about that from Tony potentially later in his presentation. So thank you again to all our sponsors. So now it's time to get started and get Tony on stage. So Tony Latimer, he is a true MCC. He is in this business since many, many, many years and has so much experience. It is always a pleasure to meet him and talk to him. So since his first training as a non-directive coach in 1984, Tony has developed the Profitable Leadership Framework, specific to the application of coaching within organizations that we talked about this morning, but for managers, internal coaches, as a democratized communication skill for everyone who interacts with others. And for those of you who are familiar with cooperation, this is a very key thing. He is also a co-founder and a past president of ICF Singapore. Tony has been a MCC since 2008, so more than 12 years, and many years as operating as an ICF assessor for PCCs and MCCs. And he creates sustainable coaching cultures within organizations, working with C-suite teams and multinationals and senior government agency. And myself, coming from the corporate world, I know how important that is. So I'm very, very excited to hear from Tony, and I'm sure all of you are, how that works. Tony, the stage is yours.
Good evening. Thanks, John. So, wow, this is going to be amazing. Just before we start, I really want to just reach out to, on behalf of the community, to all those of you on the Exco who put this week together. I don't know about everybody else there today, but 2 days into this, I'm not sure if my brain can handle an entire week. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked at what Lynn and the team have put together. This is awesome. So thank you on behalf of everybody. Now, we had some interesting words today, intentionality. And one of the intentions in putting this program together was that we could create some flow through. So I've got an entire page of notes. You know, when when I suggested we ask Colleen if she could come and join us, I knew she was going to be good, but I didn't. I mean, she just blew me away completely. And I sat down after that session and went, you know what, rip up my notes. I'm going to start again, because I'd like us to pick up and follow through on some of the things that she talked about. I'd also like to take as much opportunity as possible to make this interactive, not just me talking at you. First thing, Jean-Francois this morning had a nice poll up which gave us a sense of who was in the audience. John, can we repeat that one and just find out who we've got in terms of internal coaches, external coaches, etc.?
Absolutely, coming up. So all of you, if you did not have the opportunity to join us earlier, please open up either on your phone or separate tab in your browser and open up menti.com, type in 55364, and please give us your response. We love a lot of votes, so please take the time.
Yeah,
and I will
interesting to see.
I will do too here. Multitasking with many screens here in the background.
And I was, okay. So one request is those are all rolling in. Those of you who said others, do you want to just pop in the chat what sort of an other you are? That'll just help. Okay, so we've got one Scrum Master, marketing.
Keep going. We have 175 participants in here.
Oh, really? Okay. So we got lots. Right.
Keep going. Okay.
Okay, we've got a good variety. Yeah. So good. So I noticed we had a couple of people who were saying they're describing themselves as Scrum Masters. So going back to those definitions that you're all just voting yourselves on, the democratization of coaching skills that I think is what's coming next, is because over the last decade, we've seen the spread of agile work practices going from the IT department across the operations of organizations. We're seeing a lot more people now responsible for the performance of others, but without formal management positions or training. And I think we should be seeing coaching as the base skill and approach and the way people interact with everybody else around them in the organization. Okay, so compared to this morning then, we've got a high percentage of external coaches. That means the other people had real jobs, so they've all gone off to have dinner, right? Okay. Are there any more clicking through, John, or is that it, you reckon?
I think we are good to continue. And I see in the chat we have quite a diversity, which I love here. Image professional, teacher, counselor, business owner, trainer, and coach. So thank you for your feedback.
Okay. Now, I'm going to put John and the team behind the scenes under a little bit of pressure. A lot of you were on the session this afternoon with Colette. And for me, it raised a lot of questions. And I know for some of the people I talked in the breakout rooms, there were questions. So from what's been talked about earlier today, what questions have you got? And if you'd like to put the questions in the chat, John is going to go absolute frantic and try and capture them. And my mission is going to be to sort of get through what I want to talk about, but also see how many of those we can harvest and bring into the conversation as well. Because to be honest, I could talk for a week. So I'll try and talk in a focused manner on the things that are there as questions for you people. one of the things I got from a couple of you earlier on was that the mindfulness, we get it, it's important, it helps. And the question was, how do we do it? So just go ahead and feed all those questions in over to the chat there when I get started. Now, let me just get I just click on screen share. I should get my screen share, is that right? Okay, am I coming through, John?
Yes, you are.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good.
Thank you.
So I'm not a big one for PowerPoint. And to be honest, when Anne said, send me your PowerPoint deck, and I went, ooh, am I supposed to have one? I thought I was just going to talk. So I put a few slides together that just might help, but this was what I really wanted to do. I think if we start with some context so that we have a tremendous variety in who we are and what we do around this coaching thing. So I was thinking maybe if I just give you the context of where I'm coming from, so that it'll make it easier to understand and you'll be able to relate to it. And then I wanted to explain what I think coaching is. Because one thing I've discovered is there are as many definitions of coaching as there are coaches. We've all got one. So if I explain my take on it, you can then understand that nothing I'm going to say to you tonight is true. Nothing I'm going to say is true. It's stuff that over 35 years I've watched, analyzed, and figured out and put into practice, and it's worked for me. And it works for the people that I work with. Doesn't mean it's true. There's so many different ways to do this and approach it. But so hold that in mind as we go through. Then what I think I'd like is for us to look at this from the mastery level. Because one of the things I noticed in the early years, and when I was working as an assessor, all the training available to coaches was to get you through your ACC and your PCC. So 2006, 2007, when I was preparing for the MCC exam, there was no training available. Absolutely nothing. In fact, when you did a search, there were 103 MCCs worldwide. Now we've got just over 1,000. There were 103. So my journey to getting my skill set up to MCC was a bit like a kung fu movie. You know, you wander around the world and climb the mountains and watch these wise people pour tea into overflowing cups and try and figure out what the heck they mean. And I started reading the documentation. So the document that ICF produces, it says, this is what you're supposed to be able to do to get an MCC. And they would say things like, young Tony, you must listen to what is not being said. And the IT engineer in me goes like, hello, which ear do I pick that up with? So there's a whole lot of stuff about it that I just did not understand. So let me explain the context. I'm an IT guy. I started working on mainframes in the 70s and through all the different roles. So I look at everything from a fairly technical perspective. And I was fortunate in, this is where the synchronicity comes in. IBM, they keep popping up throughout this last 2 days. It was thanks to IBM that I started on my coaching journey. I was working for a software company that was an IBM business partner, and they always shared. So they had some training going, so they shared. And Graham Alexander, who founded one of the most prestigious coaching firms in the UK eventually, was in IBM UK. And I think it was his, potentially his interest in tennis, amateur tennis, that got him to bring Galway and Galway's Inner Game organization to come and run a coach training program. Now, this was still just on the tennis court, learning to coach tennis players. So pure non-directive coaching. And when we did it, we spent a week on it in a nice country house, Ravenhurst in Surrey. And at the end of it, you get a test, and it was like, this is awesome, this works. But how does it help me as a manager? And of course, the answer I got was, we had no idea, we're sports people. So I did what a techie does. I went back to work and then started thinking about how we could use this. So that was my context. So from that period, 35 years ago, I was totally focused on the application of coaching skills in the workplace. I've never run a coach training school for external coaches like the majority of you. However, these days, coaching, I think, is happening at two levels. There's the, let's call it the Jungian physics. So managing using coaching skills, you know, one of the first things we're helping them do is stop being the expert problem solver to people and use coaching as a way to trigger thinking to help people to step up and own their piece and find their own solutions. Then you've got the quantum physics. And this is where you have to go a lot deeper. So I think the training that we do for the internal coaches is way deeper and probably more aligned to what you external coaches are doing. I want to look at the mastery thing and look at what is said. But first, let me just stop screen sharing. Questions. What have we got so far, John? What popped up?
Yeah, we had a few questions earlier, so thank you. There was one from Kevin Cottam. How do you develop the mindfulness into not just the coaching, but institute it as a resilience practice in orgs? Was one key takeaway he shared when you asked that question from the earlier session. But then there's one from Doreen Theo. What is the difference between subconscious and unconscious mind? Question mark. So that's some of the thoughts and questions, I think, based on the questions you asked, the question you asked earlier.
Right. Yes. And so I noticed Suchitra is asking the question, how can I distinguish my triggers from the genuine concerns expressed by them? And I think that's the problem. For me, when I was starting out, everything I read, everything I was told, seemed to be a big focus that coaching is all about powerful questions. And I've got to the point over the years where I don't think it is. I think coaching is the process of making people think. And in organizations, we coach for behavioral change. If we focus on making people think, yes, questions can, don't always, but can make people think. But what technically is a great question doesn't always make somebody think. And sometimes if the ball is rolling, then the worst question in the world that technically shouldn't trigger much thought won't stop them. It'll just keep rolling. So I think the most significant thing we've got to do is focus on triggering thinking. And for me, listening is the preeminent skill, because in life, nobody really listens to anybody. I think somebody alluded to in one of the talks yesterday. We sit there at work, listening, if anything, to ourselves, rehearsing what we want to say when they shut up. So we sit there listening for the verbal full stop that tells us it's our turn to jump in and say our piece. One of the questions somebody was asking, what's the distinguishing between the subconscious and the unconscious mind? So the model framework I'm going to refer to is in terms of conscious awareness which is just simply the handful of things currently aware of. The unconscious, which is the automatic stuff that just keeps the systems running, and we can ignore that for this purpose. And then the subconscious. So for me, the subconscious is, forgive me, I'm going to talk in computer terms. The subconscious is the database and the processor. It's your entire body of knowledge. And that's where we've got to go to. And if you're coaching somebody, you've got to get them down there as well. So we want to take the person we're coaching into the subconscious. We want to also take ourselves into our subconscious.
So Tony, there was a great
Yes.
question here from Michael saying, what practices do you undertake to develop listening with an empty mind?
Yes, that's a phrase I'll get back to you on that one. When we've talked about some stuff and why it's important, one of the things I'm actually going to do is give you all the physical experience of doing it. Before we set up for that question, if we can get a few more answers, imagine you were being asked to teach somebody listening skills, and maybe you've been on some sort of training or communication skills courses before, when when you've been taught how to listen. What did you ask somebody to do, or what were you asked to do? So let's just take a moment. Let's get a few of them keyed into the chat box. So if you were teaching somebody to listen, what would you ask them to do? Okay. So, interesting. So here's the interesting bit. We've got things like be present. Just say to somebody, come on, be present. What does that mean? What physical action are you expecting me to take? Sujita said, look them in the eye. Well, you know what? Eye contact, not always a good thing. Sometimes a little scary. People can get uncomfortable. What I see from everything you've put in there, and these are all really, really good responses, some of them are physical. So just because you're paraphrasing what somebody said doesn't mean you're listening. Just because you're looking them in the eye doesn't mean you're listening. So a lot of the physical things that we tell people to do aren't how to listen. They are the observable phenomena that we see when somebody is listening. So there's a difference. Statistical observations, and statistical observations cannot be applied to create it. I'll give an example. Bell curves. So at the risk of upsetting a few people, we have situations where people say, oh, well, I have to adjust everybody's scores because we've got to have a bell curve. You can't do that. A bell curve is a statistical observation that you will make if you have a big enough data sample, and it's got to be at least 50 plus. So if you've got 50 people and their results, roughly you will see a bell curve. And yet we still see organizations doing things like saying, no, adjust the numbers because they've got to fit the bell curve. You can't take a statistical observation and use it as a tool. So you can't take the physical things you see people do when they are listening and try to teach them as the technique to make listening happen. And the hard part about listening is it's going on in your head, and that's what causes the problem. So it's the hardest thing to do. And I can only speak for the men in the room. I can't speak for anybody else, but it's happened to all of us. You know, you're working hard doing the physical things. So, you know, you're sitting there over the candlelit dinner table and you're giving the eye contact and you're going, uh-huh, oh yeah. And suddenly a voice cuts like a laser through your brain as she screams out, "You're not listening to me, are you?" And you suddenly go, oh my God, no, I'm not. The lights are on, but nobody's home. And what I think happens is the handful of things that are floating around in our conscious awareness act both as filters, a sort of a block to getting passed into the subconscious. They also act as triggers. So something hits the triggers and bang, you're off just thinking about something else. And the human body has one amazing failure. Your ears and your mouth do not work at the same time. And by mouth, I also mean your internal mouth, when you're talking to yourself. So the minute you're thinking, you can't be listening. This creates a tremendous problem for us as coaches. So, you know, how are you going to operate? You ask questions because you want to hear some stuff. And if you dare to think about it, then you're off and you miss what came next. So it's a real problem. And that, I think, is why we tell people to sort of, you know, take notes and paraphrase and play back and check with it. But the real challenge, you learn those techniques. And then when you try to get through an MCC exam, if you do those things, you will fail. Let me just grab and share another document. Had a little bit of fun with this one this afternoon. Okay, I think I've got it. Right, so I did a quick cut and paste. If you've never read this document, you need to go to the coachfederation.org, the global website. Look for the information that is on a document relates to MCC and says this is how you pass or fail the exam. I've just cut some bits out, so I've left huge chunks out of it. But some interesting things come up. Establishing trust and intimacy, I've highlighted. The coach's comfortableness with not knowing as a state to expand awareness in. What does that mean? Accesses own intuition and trusts your inner knowing. Now, as you can imagine, 2007, as an IT guy trying to get through an MCC exam, I'm listening to this and everybody said intuition. I'm going, so what's that then? And nobody could explain it to me in physical terms. And if we work with corporates, regardless of whether it's a software company or a bank or whatever, these managers that we're working with, these people are primarily technical. They run scared of the perceived soft skills. Now, it also says under coaching presence, which is a hard one to define, the connection is to the whole of the client. Now, you're an IT guy. What does that mean? And at the MCC level, the conversation between coach and client is equal and easy, even in uncomfortable moments. You can start to see why it takes a little bit of effort to kind of get through exams at this level. The coach's ability, this is under active listening. Coach's ability to hear underlying beliefs and thinking. how can you hear what they are thinking? It doesn't say what they're saying. It's you're expected to detect the underlying beliefs. Now, our beliefs, I subscribe to the 3-level framework for the subconscious. It's not correct. It's just an easy way to explain it to people. And you can actually teach people to coach against the 3 levels. And very quickly, people can start to see when they've pushed somebody down the deeper levels of the subconscious. Now, once somebody really starts thinking, you've got them down into level 1 of the subconscious. As you go deeper into the subconscious, the speed of thinking gets faster. The best parallel, do you all remember watching the movie Inception? And if not, homework tonight, go back and watch Inception. It's the best coaching movie ever. When the van is going off the bridge, 1 second in real time is an hour at level 1 in the subconscious, a day at level 2, a week at level 3. So you need, the focus for coaching is to get people down into the subconscious. We don't want to listen to them talking about their problems. We want to get them down into the subconscious so that they process their problems at the speed of thought. Also, it says listening happens at the logical and emotional level at the same time. Now, the logical level, that's maybe what they're saying, what you can hear. But the emotional level, listening happening at the emotional level. The emotions are processed in the limbic brain. They're in the lowest level of your subconscious, the part of the brain that has no capacity for language. So you're not going to hear it with ears. When you start reading this stuff and thinking about it, this is inviting you to operate at a completely different level. And when it comes to questions, it says the coach's inability to move beyond standardized coaching questions or standardized models will result in a score below the MCC level. So that leaves us with a little bit of a problem. What we need to do is take ourselves into our subconscious, because the questions, I can honestly say, when I sit down for a coaching conversation, I have no plan, I have no questions in mind. So let's get some more input from you guys. Where do your questions come from in a coaching session? How do you know what to ask next? While you're putting those responses in, I'm just having a look through the others. Linda says that her husband cannot multitask. Actually, that's true. Totally true. What I've been taught about that is physically, male and female brains are structured differently in terms of the percentage and location of the white matter versus the gray matter. And the neurons in the white matter connect to more other neurons at greater distances. So, you know, yes, there is some real sort of brain science around that. Emma says, interesting, it's about a deep inner trust to know what's happening in the client. But how do you know? Okay, good. A lot of you are saying it's got to come from the client. Yes. But to make sure that you hear what's coming from the client, because it's not just about the words, you've got to be listening for the emotions. So we've got to start looking at doing this at a much, 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 much steeper level. John, have you picked up any exciting ones there that you want me to pick up on?
I'm looking for the new ones based on the question you just asked. More comments in this moment. I had a thought when you asked the question in terms of how do you know what's the next question? Because for me, it just came to my mind is not having any question prepared or anything. Because the worst thing, particularly early days, is you always come prepared with a lot of questions to throw out, and you learn as time goes on. Not having any questions is a magic. So that is something I have learned the hard way. But that just came to my mind. Not having anything in my head and just listen. Yeah.
Yes. For me, so we said coaching is the process of making people think, and the brain is a neural network. Any thoughts are a collection of neurons connected together, and that connection, that network, represents a bit of data. They are reusable objects, so you add another couple of connections in that can now represent something else, which is why our brains haven't exploded over the years. Because if you think back, brains are amazing. Go back to when I was about 12 years old. My grandmother lived in a medium-sized town in England, and her father was Benson 541. So what does that tell us? That nobody in their wildest imagination could imagine that this town would possibly need more than 999 telephones. And in the early 60s, if you think about the volume of data coming at you every day, it was pretty limited. So you probably read a newspaper. You had a few conversations with people at work, and you maybe listened to an hour or two of radio programming in the evening because TV was new and a bit flaky. I think most of us get up in the morning, grab our phones, go to the bathroom, and by the time we emerged, we've probably consumed more data than people in the 1950s and 60s did in a whole week. So the speed and volume of data that's coming at people these days is just phenomenal and getting greater. The only way, it's not going to change, we can't stop it. The only way we can help is to speed up the thought process. So that really is, I think, the job, triggering the thinking and speeding up the process. And the way you speed up the process is pushing people down into the subconscious. So,
Tony, we have one from Sam, which just got my attention. Is listening more important than asking the questions? Would that help clients to think rather than an actual answer?
Yes. So the way you make questions work is by putting in presuppositions. And listening, that's why we're advised to ask open questions, not closed questions, because a closed question contains a presupposition that you should answer with a yes or a no. And people always default to the one that requires the least mental effort. So if they think you're looking for a yes, they'll say yes. If they think a no is easy, they'll say no. So it's not about open or closed questions, it's about the presuppositions. Now, silence, and in the corporate context, when the boss gives a group of people a task, here's the mission, here's what we're going to go and do, guys. Is everybody clear on that? So they're all going to go, yes, boss. Because the presupposition is that you're going to say yes or no. And in a manager-subordinate relationship, they will always default to the answer they think that you're looking for. So back to Simon's point. Yes, silence is a presupposition. So you've got to, I think one of the things we have to get very, very comfortable with as a coach is being comfortable with silence. And I suspect everybody in this room has already gone through that barrier. It was one of the hard bits we learned in our early coach training, because silence contains the presupposition that it's still your turn and there's more. So it's an incredibly simple way to do it. You ask a question, you wait till they respond. When they've responded, stop. Stay silent instead of just jumping in with the next question as we tend to. Stay silent for 3 heartbeats. And that could be quick or could be slow depending on how fit you are, but I'm talking about a reasonably fit person, okay? Wait for 3 heartbeats. Because if you've triggered the thinking, even though something came and they gave it to you, they said it, the thinking process is still happening. So you should always dip into the processor and say, let's see if there's anything more in there. Because as that thought process has continued, there will be something else. And you can reach in and pull it out. If you pause for 3 heartbeats and nothing comes, you then use the ultimate question and just say, and? Because that is now talking to the subconscious and carries the presupposition that there is more. And the subconscious obeys presuppositions. That's the difference, for example, between somebody comes to you with a plan and you say, right, I'm going to make you think about this one. So tell me, are there any flaws and risks in this plan? And they sit there like a good kid in class going, good question. No, don't think so. Zero thinking happening. You've got to get good at triggering the thinking and at knowing whether they've really done any thinking or not, despite those outer signals. And knowing that they've done some thinking or not comes from, I think, a deeper level. So yeah, silence, listening. I constantly have to keep reminding myself about this. I've got one client I've just started working with a few months ago, who's from Europe, but not from mainland Europe, and the use of English is slightly different, subtly different. And one of his habits is constantly asking me questions. And we know as coaches, we're not supposed to solve their problems for them or give them solutions or anything. But when somebody keeps dangling the bait in front of you, it's so tempting to dip into that knowledge base you've got and just give a little advice. And this particular client, I've had to learn working with my supervisor, working on the practice. And a sticker I put up there whenever it's time to coach this guy, and go like, don't answer any of his questions, just remind yourself. And the first time I did it, and that's it. He just answered all the own questions. He wasn't asking a question. He was just framing his thoughts.
Tony, there was another question from Doreen. I think beyond the 3 heartbeats, what did you do to reach that stage with no questions? What is guiding you? Is there something beyond the 3 heartbeats and silence?
Yeah, I think we've got to go a little bit deeper with that, haven't we? And Matthew is also asking, we're encouraged to avoid the presuppositions and closed questions. Right. So here's the thing, Matthew. I don't know who's encouraging you to avoid that, but no, what I'm saying is if you want your questions to be powerful and work and trigger thinking, use presuppositions, but not closed questions. Closed questions have a presupposition, but the wrong one. They're for confirmation. The open questions, so let me give you an example. Instead of saying, so tell me, Are there any problems with your project? Are there any risks? Use a different presupposition. You would say, so tell me, what are the risks in that project? Because subconscious here is a presupposition that there are some risks, and it obediently goes off and finds them for you. And if you really want to make the brains hurt, try asking, what are the risks you haven't thought of yet? And that'll hurt, but you'll really see them working on that one. So that's how you do it. Now, bear with me. I want to just find my slides and set it up. Share screen again. So we want to create this subconscious to just link. My definition of coaching is helping people get absolute clarity on where they are now, absolute clarity on where they need to be in the future, and then absolute clarity on what they're going to do different to get from here to there. You see in the top left-hand corner the word energy. We're looking to get ourselves down into the subconscious and them down into the subconscious. And you can only do that if you can clear your conscious awareness. Now, the meditation was talked about earlier today. I'm going to agree. I came to Southeast Asia in about 1978. And amongst all the amazing things I discovered here, meditation was one of them. Now, meditation, I'm sure a lot of people in the room, actually, let's have a show of hands. Hands up if you actually currently practice meditation from time to time. Yep, quite a few of you. Okay, good. So you'll know what I'm talking about. Learning to meditate is not easy. You practice, and then one day, after many, many months, you have that awesome moment where it all goes so clear, and you just float up into that amazing place. And then a split second, you crash back to earth. And you then persevere. Now, you can just imagine, so I was discovering meditation at the point where I was formulating my ideas on how to teach coaching skills to managers. And you can just imagine the scene. We're in a workshop with, say, an IT company, bunch of managers, and I'm talking about, yes, you need to clear your mind. Here's how you do it. You have to meditate. And they go, brilliant. Can we learn that before lunch? We go, oh, no, it'll take about 5 years. Well, that doesn't help. And then one day I came across a technique, and the technique was being taught purely for relaxation purposes. It was a combination of a few things. Let me just show you and talk you through it a little bit. I'm not convinced I'm sharing the right screen. It doesn't seem to be showing. What can you see, John?
I see your face.
Oh, okay. All right, then we've got the right bit. This technique that I came across was a combination of 3 things. Acupressure. Now, acupressure, let me just make sure I'm clear for everybody. you probably all know what acupuncture is, right? We have the energy meridians and points on the body, and you can go to a TCM practitioner who sticks needles in. It's not as bad as it sounds. Acupressure is, instead of using needles, you put pressure on those same points. When you put pressure on those points, when you stimulate them, you create a tiny piezoelectric current. And it's very relaxing, it's very calming. Deep breathing, done correctly, is very, very relaxing. And the third element is visualization. Now, the secret to this technique is you have to do all three together. And the main thing we're going to do is precisely that. We're going to go through them all together. I'm going to talk you through it and get you to kind of follow along. I'll show you, those are the points you can see highlighted. If anybody wants, if you want to grab a screenshot or something, I'll go back to you seeing my face so you can actually see me do it. And I'm going to give you the physical experience of clearing your conscious awareness. Now, how strong it feels will depend on where you are now. Now, we've had a pretty good day. We've been away from work. We've had a couple of 2 or 3 mindfulness sessions. We're pretty relaxed. If you're a little bit more stressed, if you joined after a normal day's work, then okay, you'll have a little bit more busy stuff going on. But what I'm going to do is take you through a simple technique that will give you the physical experience of clearing your conscious awareness. And I guarantee, and it'd be nice to say this about any product, but I guarantee if you do this and do it correctly, it will work. One of the most important things about it is once you do it, you never have to do it again. So I learned this technique years ago. I practiced it, and then I started kind of thinking about it. People have flashbacks. People who've been through stressful situations sometimes flip back. And what I realized is that it seems as though your brain registers every state it ever experiences. Now, if a trigger can flip you into a flashback to a previous brain state, surely with a bit more effort, you must be able to consciously flip yourself there and trigger it for yourself. And that's what I've actually found. Maybe before we finish today's session, what I'll do is I'll take you through this to have the experience. And then at the end of the session, I'll just talk you through what I want you to practice going forward. Because you've done this technique, you should need to do it again. The technique I'll show you to practice it won't have any effect because you'll already be there. But at least I can talk you through what it is. You can make a couple of notes because it's very, very simple. And then I want us to talk a little bit about how it feels and what it then creates in terms of the connection. So, okay, let's see. Have we got anything else in the questions or the comments that we need to deal with?
I think you can move on. You can move on.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So Paul was saying, how do you enter your mind? So this is it, guys. Get yourselves prepared. Am I all front and center at the moment? Okay, so here's what I want you all to do. If you're wearing glasses, you might need to take them off to make it a little bit easier, but see how it goes. We're going to do the pressure points. As we put pressure on, we're going to breathe. And as we breathe, we're going to have to do a visualization. Now, this is probably worth clarifying because some people I've met say, oh, I can't really do visualization. By visualization, I mean seeing something in front of you that is not actually there. So creating a picture in your head. Normally, when you ask people to do visualization, they close their eyes. This is because what's actually going on is the things you think you're seeing in front of you at the moment, you're not. What you're seeing is a picture inside your brain. There are light signals coming in through the receptors in your eyes, which form a picture somewhere in your brain. And it fools you that you're actually seeing it out there in front of your face. When you do visualization, you simply access some stored light signals from a previous occasion and use them to create a picture in your brain. If you want a real bit of fun to practice on this one, practice doing visualization with your eyes open. It's really hard work, but you can actually get to a point where you can momentarily see two images superimposed, the ones that are out there and the ones that are in there. Just to make sure everybody gets this, I'm just going to take you through a practice visualization that you're all comfortable that you can do this. So I want you all to follow my instructions precisely. First, close your eyes. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to go back and stand outside the door of where you live, your house, your apartment, whatever. Stand there and see the door as it is. Now, from your pocket, take out whatever it is you use to open that door. Push the door slowly open. Look into that first room and see the room as it is. Look around the walls. Look up at the ceiling. Look down at the floor. Then come back, open your eyes, but close the door for security. Okay, open your eyes. So, you could see it, right? So that means you can all do visualization. It's as simple as that. Now, just give you the context and how I kind of figured this one out. As a kid, I did really well in primary school. I struggled when we got to secondary school because, and I didn't discover this for many, many years afterwards, because I found I can only really easily learn something if I understand it. So when I come across something, I have to sort of stretch it and test it and rip it apart until I've absolutely convinced myself that it's right and it works, and then I'm good with it. Or I've amended it and I've got something new. The problem we had in England in the 1960s was the grammar school I went to was a bit short of funds. So 1960s England, there was still a very much a class barrier. You had two types of schools. We had what Singapore calls the PSLE, the 11 plus, which determined that a small percentage of you went to the grammar school and then on to university, presumably. The rest went to what they call the secondary school. And the class system showed up amazingly. At the grammar school, we played, excuse me, we played rugby in the winter, cricket in the summer, gentlemen's games. In the secondary school, they played football, the ruffians game, all year round. We learned Latin and Greek. They learned German because they were probably going to work in a German car factory. So these kind of odd things happen. Now, what actually I believe happened was our school needed a rugby coach, but had no budget. So any teacher that came in had to actually teach an academic subject. So they hired a broken down rugby professional who couldn't play professionally anymore, said, okay, you're going to be the rugby coach, and, oh, let me think, academic subjects. Oh, I know. You've got one of these fancy modern checkered shirts. That looks like graph paper. You can do maths and science. So we were being taught maths and science by a teacher who was 1 page ahead of us in the textbook. You know, he would read the class tonight and then deliver it tomorrow. So, John, I have a question. I seem to have Patricia.
You saw a question? Or?
Am I still visible? Okay, we just got another techie bit superimposed. Thanks, Gianna. Okay, so there we were, and I've never forgotten the day. We were doing science, and he was talking about the solar system, and he got color posters. Now, in those days, we just got color posters in school, and they were awesome. You know, it was like giving modern day kids an iPad. And he got this color poster on the wall for the class of the solar system. So there was the sun and the planets going out. And I was just looking at this, I was just overwhelmed. This was awesome. And when he got a bit in the class, when he said, and then the last planet is Pluto, and that's the solar system. And I was just sitting there visualizing this solar system in my head. And then he said, sir, what comes after the solar system? He said, oh, quick look at the textbook. Well, it's just space, boy. It's space. So in my head, I'm zooming out, and there's the solar system, and there's the space. This is awesome. And he's trying to move on. I go like, sir, after the space, what's next? Now, we've just gone totally beyond his current knowledge, so he's getting really cross at the moment. He goes, well, it's more solar systems, you stupid boy. So I sat there and just started visualizing further and further out more solar systems. It was mind-blowing. And then the final way, when he hit me with the board duster, was when I interrupted and said, sir, what's next? And he looked at the textbook, gave up, threw the book at me and just said, it's the infinity of space, you stupid boy. And that did it for me, because I started visualizing infinity. Now, if you ever want to completely do your head in, go and sit under a quiet place under a tree and visualize infinity, because trust me, folks, it's big. It's really, really big. And that was where I realized the secret for this technique. We have to visualize something that is physically impossible. So I'm going to give you something much easier. So first of all, let's just go around the different points and identify them all one by one and give you the experience. So the first one, and there is one each side, so feel free to, if you want to put your camera on and let me see you, then you can try it. So just go up the side of your nose and you will find that there's a pressure point just at the beginning of your eyebrow. And if you press hard on it, yep, that's the right. It might hurt a little bit, that's okay. This means you're in the right place. Now the second one, if you go around to the side of your eye, right on the hard bone on the edge of your eye socket. Again, you press that, not up in the temples, come down, Francisco, come down to your eye socket on the edge. That's it. Yeah, perfect. Again, might hurt a little bit. Now the third spot is right here under the center of your eye, on the edge of the eye socket bone. Again, press that one. And then the fourth one is here, just under the nose, on your upper lip. The fifth one is here between your lip and your chin, that little dimply bit. Okay, so those are the 5 points. Now, the breathing, very, very deep. We're going to, as we put pressure on each point, we're going to breathe in for a count of 3. Hold it for 1, and then breathe out for a count of 3. The visualization. I know the physics says and the biology says that you breathe in through your mouth and your nose, it goes around your lungs and comes out. Forget that. What I want you to see, and if you can do this with your eyes open, it's even more powerful. see the breath coming into your body through your finger. And then as you breathe out, see the breath flowing out of your body away from your finger. Because that's physically impossible, it will occupy the entire processor. So let's step our way through it one at a time, okay? Now, you only have to go round one side. It doesn't matter which one you choose. That's just stay consistent. So pick side, take the point at the beginning of your eyebrow, press hard, and to my count, take the deepest breath you ever have in. Breathe in and see the breath going to that finger. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Now see the breath flowing out from your finger. 1, 2, 3. Now go to the side of your eye. See the breath going to your finger. In. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Now breathe out. 2, 3. Now go under your eye. Pressure. Breathe to the finger. In. And out. Now on your nose, upper lip, pressure. Breathe to the finger. In. And out. On your chin, pressure. Breathe to the finger, see it. In. And out. Now just let that settle for a moment. Now, I'd like you just go into your head and see what's going on in there. And then if a few of you would like to raise your hands just to comment on what you're noticing, John will maybe unmute you and let you speak.
Yeah, a few people raised their hand, Tony, but I think it was earlier, so I'm not sure it's related to your question here, but they raised their hand a few minutes ago.
Okay, so
Sophie?
Thank you very much, Tony, for this incredible experience, because I'm doing meditation and this one I didn't know. And what I felt was amazing, wow, peaceful time, just like a cloud. That's very intense. Wow, thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, I see we've got 5 or 6. Let's don't just go around. Let's hear from everybody who's raising their hand.
Aurélie?
Who's next, John?
Aurélie?
Yes, sorry, I don't know if you hear me.
Yes,
actually, I was raising my hand earlier to say that I'm practicing meditation. So for this exercise, well, so I felt pain doing it, and I had kind of a visioning, I would say, at the end of mountains. I think it's a past image that I have in my brain. So I don't know whether this is related to this process or something else, but interesting. Yes, and it enables me to be. I mean, it helps to be in the present time. Yes, for sure. So thank you for this.
You're welcome. Who's next?
Dave Hogan. You're unmuted. Dave, you're unmuted. Dave?
Dave's obviously feeling really good and quiet and calm about that. Okay, let's move to the next one. Oh, Dave, you there?
No, I see on camera Sam raising her hand in the meantime until we get Dave ready. So we have to watch both the chat and the videos here. There's a few hands here. So Sam.
I'm the reverse of everybody. I actually have something coming up that feels like excitement and passion. And as I waited for my turn, I actually feel like my tears are going to come out if I don't stop them. So I have completely different from whatever's going on in the chat. So right now I'm feeling a lot of emotion that is coming out of me. Yeah, that was a very strange experience, Tony. Thank you.
Okay.
Then we have on camera Han.
Yeah, after practicing this, just feel like it's the unbalance between the left and the right brain, and I practice from the left one, and I feel like it expands, it's bigger than the physical brain in the left. So I can wait to practice on the right side. So don't know if anyone get the same feeling like that.
Okay, good. Who else? We still got 3 hands up. Who else wants to say something?
Pradeep.
Hi,
Hello.
Tony. Yes. Actually, I've been meditating for more than 25 years now, and I should say thank you for this experience, because this was the first thing with my eyes open. What I felt is a heightened sense of awareness and almost a blank head. And what it feels like is out of a sci-fi movie, like I feel half part of my skull open and empty, and feels very relaxed and really very moved. It's very relaxed.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you. Who else?
Let me
Still
see
got
who's
2 hands up.
Suchitra.
Hi, Suchitra. Did you want to say something?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry, that was my hand from earlier, but yeah, I was just thinking it's great because I actually feel a lot more alive. I was lolling on the couch, and after the session, I just woke up. I was like, wow, I'm also tingly and fresh, and I think I can work for another 2 to 3 hours. That's kind of weird, but it really felt good because it kind of activates the acupoints on the face, which are the things that usually typically create like headaches and kind of fatigue. So when you apply pressure on that and visualize, it really feels good. So thank you.
Okay, awesome. Miwa, you had a question.
Yes, I have a quick question. Do you also recommend to do acupuncture on our body to relax? Not only face, but also, neck or shoulder.
To be honest, I don't think I would ever recommend acupuncture to relax. I like to go and get a good massage for relaxation. I've used acupuncture for various things. I generally tend to use it when there's, when there's a sort of medical related problem. But it's, if you had acupuncture, that's a really interesting experience. I did that once just to find out what it was like. But yeah, but it's very relaxing, and because it's the same process. And if you go to a TCM practitioner, you will see that going around the sequence we did opens up the flow on the central energy meridian, which is incredibly relaxing. And I've been looking at all the comments. So here's the interesting bit. A lot of people are saying that it feels very calm, doesn't it? And if you just go back now and just go back inside, you'll notice it's very quiet in there. So this is the state of mind to be in when you listen. And when you're coaching, when you listen from this place, something really interesting starts to happen. Some of you have mentioned tingling and energy. So this was the other point that I wanted to make for you. When you drop a pebble into a pond, you see ripples. The ripples are not the water moving horizontally. If you put a rubber duck, it would just bob up and down. What you're seeing is, because water is physical and visible, you're seeing the energy waves go through the water. Now, E equals mc squared. The energy potential of a body is its mass times the speed of light squared. So this is nothing fluffy, this is just physics. I'm made of energy, you're made of energy, and the space between us is made of energy. It's just matter in a different form. Now, we know we can learn to move the energy flow within our body. If you can control and move that enough to just release a little of that energy, it must create ripples. And if those ripples, when they hit the energy mass that is the other person, if it's strong enough, that must create ripples. Your thoughts are physical. Your thoughts, your emotions are electrochemical signals on the neural pathways in your brain, just physics. And when you learn to connect with people at the energetic level, you will start to pick things up. You will notice, and some people have said in the chat there that they were suddenly becoming more aware of things. So yes, your physical observations, tiny, tiny little movements on the face of the person you're coaching, the little flicker in the eyes that you wouldn't have noticed, the hesitation in their breath. You'll pick those physical things up, but you will also start to be working on the energetic level connection with people. And the nice thing about quantum physics is distance is no object. So whether you're coaching by distance, by phone, or whether you're physically with somebody, it doesn't matter. If you are connected to a group of people like this over the internet and around the world, you're connected. The thing to practice and to learn is getting this energetic level connection. I was incredibly fortunate when 2006, 2007, to meet a small group of the MCCs around the world who were working at this energetic level and taught me how to do it. And then it's just practice, practice, practice. And what I've discovered, and those of you who meditate, you've noticed, typical meditation sessions, we spend 15, 20 minutes getting ourselves into that nice calm place. This technique, you just go there. If you consciously, yes.
No, sorry, continue. I thought you were done.
If you consciously practice doing this 3 times a day, within a few weeks, you will be amazed at how quickly you can get there. And the more you do it, the easier you will get into that state, the longer you will be able to stay there. And when you slip out of it, it will just get so noisy. When you slip out of it, you'll be able to just pull yourself back. It's to answer all those questions that I raised about what are they looking for at the MCC level, you've got to learn to connect with people at the energetic level. And when you learn to listen from the subconscious, what a lot of you were describing there in how you were feeling and what was going on, because what I've discovered is practicing this and listening from this place, from the subconscious, triggers an initial energetic connection. You're already starting to feel it. So now you begin to go, oh, I know what this feels like. Focus on doing more and more of that. This is the only thing to practice. You will know what question to ask. You'll have moments very soon where, you'll say to the client, so what do you need to work on today? And they go, oh, well, there's this and there's this. No, I've got a big problem here. There's this one, but yeah, that's not important. And as they say, that's not important, you will get like a bolt of electricity will hit you, and you'll be able to go, could I just ask a bit more about that? And they'll go, oh my God, how did you know? So you start to really get connected and read the energy that's coming through. This is what you need to work on.
Tony, this is really deep and impactful. I'm really thankful. I can see from all the questions and everything that this is very, very helpful for all our participants. We have about 6-7 minutes left. We have 2 raised hands. I don't know your closing. What is your choice? We can pick up on the hands afterwards in the chat, or up to you. 6 minutes ago.
I've done everything I feel I need to. Yeah. I would be happy to do whatever you people want me to do. If you've got hands raised and you've got questions, let's answer the questions.
Okay, we have Ramesh out there. Ramesh, you raised your hand. Ramesh? You are on
Ramesh. Okay, maybe not. Anybody else?
Okay, Avni, I saw you raised your hand.
Sorry. Hi, Tony.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks for sharing your most prized technique with us. As you did that, I felt very relaxed and present to the love within me, which I felt for my family just now. So, it really calmed me down and really felt great. Question is, if you can please repeat the technique and its name as well. Like, is there a name to the technique, or if you can repeat it, because I know that there was something about pressing this side of the eyebrow, then pressing the bottom of the eyes, and then underneath here, and then underneath here, I seem to remember.
Okay, so two questions there. First one, does it have a name? I don't know. It was just introduced to me as a relaxation technique. I kind of refer to it as sort of like breathing to the point, but it doesn't have a name. A couple of you have mentioned and asked about EFT. So I did EFT about 20 years ago. EFT is very much working on the energy meridians and so on. When you learn to get this energetic connection with people, you don't need EFT anymore. You can just reach out and connect energetically without any touching or tapping or anything like that. But EFT techniques do the same thing with the energy meridians, triggering those piezoelectric currents. That's part of what's going on there. So maybe, perhaps the last thing I can do is just tell you what to practice, because Avni has just asked, what was the technique again? How do I do that? You never have to do it again. Your brain has experienced a state, and from what most of you put in there, you've done quite well with that. Let me just, this will be on the recording, so you can maybe go back and review this anytime you like. It'll also be on one of the videos in the coaching app and stuff like that. So when you want to go back, simply, and you can try it now so you get the experience, just sit up straight. In whatever way it means to you, just center yourself. Just bring yourself in and feel very centered. And then feel very present and grounded. grounded, I mean, feel the pressure of the floor into your feet. Feel the chair on your back, on the back of your thighs. So this is eyes wide open stuff. Centered, grounded. And then you simply take a really deep breath, a huge breath, and then over about 15 seconds, you slowly breathe it out with the conscious intention to return to that state. So you would just breathe in, and slowly breathe out. And as you do, over a few seconds, you notice everything slipping away again. And maybe even now you just start to notice that quietness coming into your mind even more strongly.
Tony, if you allow me to take me this peaceful, quiet moment to wrap it up for you, I would appreciate any closing comment before I wrap it up.
Just final thing I'd like to say, if any of you feel motivated, I decided that one of my biggest ways of sharing everything that I do with coaches is going to be available in a few weeks through the coaching app. If you'd like to know a little bit more and know when it's available and how it can help you and your clients, then just go to coachingapp.com and drop a note in there and I'll pick up. And you'll then be able to get hold of lots of regular stuff I'm going to be doing there. John, thank you so awesome. Much. Over to you.
Thank you. I totally appreciate, and I'm trying to get to the right slide here now. Thank you. So I just want to say thank you for taking us on this journey. Very powerful. Despite I'm in the host role, I felt the impact. And it just reminded me about one thing, that meditation and stillness and silence is so powerful for what we do as coaches. So thank you for bringing us that journey and teaching us new skills here. I really appreciate that, Tony. So with that, and I agree, we have a recording we can always look at and we can do it again and again. I just want to say thank you. So everybody, first of all, huge thank you to Tony. Amazing session. There's a few more things coming, and I said there is a network session coming up. But before we do that, can we do a group picture? I will stop my sharing, and what you have to do, all of you, because we love our group pictures, is with your hands do a I, a C, a W, and it will take about 5 to 10 seconds to get some great screenshots because we have a lot of people dialed in. So we are ready to go, and is my photographer ready? Yes. Okay, 5 seconds, please. Okay, done. Thank you. So we are basically teeing up our session for the breakout. Before I do that, I just want to again thank our sponsors, in particular Emergenetics, and please watch out for the email next week to sign up for your freebie. Again, it's worth $350 Sing dollars. Also a huge thank you to the Coach Partnership, Starting Point, and the coaching app that Tony just talked about. Without their help, this would have been different. Really appreciate their sponsorship and support. What is important, as I mentioned to you, is how you claim the CCEUs. So on the screen, and I will leave it on the screen for a few seconds, please scan the barcode or go into the chat. There will be a link for you to click on where you can claim your CCEUs. You need your full name and your email address. And we have a few questions for you around our session. So please take the time to scan the code or click on the link. When you do that, also, we love when you talk about what we do here. So please go out and spread the news on social media. If you have thoughts, any observations from today, please go out and share it. And even better, if you hashtag with ICW SG 2020 and you are from Singapore, you have the chance to win a $30 NTUC voucher, and we do it for each of the medias, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. So go out there, spread the news for the person with the highest shares, and post, there will be a prize. So thank you for helping us with that. And also tomorrow we have 3 amazing sessions coming up. In the morning, 9 o'clock, we have eliminate stress and cultivate extreme resilience. We have agents of change and consciousness. And last but not least, in the evening, we have a fantastic panel. What does the latest ICF core competences change mean for us as coaches? If you haven't signed up, you will find the link in the chat to sign up, and you can join us tomorrow because I'm sure it will be super valuable for all of us. So with that, we are going into breakout sessions now. We are splitting up into groups of 4 or 5, and it's a great opportunity just to take a few minutes to reflect on what you just heard from Tony or from today. And basically our session tonight will end in the breakout group. So after 15 minutes, it will automatically be closed. There's nothing else to do than accept the invite and just enjoy the conversation with your fellow coaches. So I want to thank you on behalf of ICF Singapore for staying with us and all your great questions. And Tony, again, thank you. I wish you a wonderful evening. We can start the breakout rooms. Thank you.
John, can you keep the CCEU slide on? Can you keep the CCEU slide on? Awesome. Thank you.
I was too fast. Thank you.
Okay. If you're not ready. There was no one in my breakout room.
I believe Jada will need some time to reassign the participants who are left with 1 or 2. So just hold on a while.
Mm-hmm.